And a very happy Thursday to you at 12:07 in the West. It's the John Phillips Show. Mr. Randy Wings in Culver City.
John, yesterday, police in San Ramon made several arrests of the nearly 24 smash and grabbers who destroyed a jewelry store. And guess what? A lot of them were from Oakland.
It's happened yet again.
Boy, Oakland has turned into the gift that just keeps on giving.
Or taking.
Mostly taking.
It's a lot of crime now.
800-222-5222 is telephone number 1-800-222-5222. Well, every so often there's a story that piques the interest of the audience, and a number of you email us links to a particular story, and you want us to talk about it. Well, over the last couple of days, that certainly happened regarding the city of Los Angeles, which is broke, saying they're not going to lay anyone off, despite the fact that they have no money.
The city of Los Angeles was facing a $1 billion budget deficit. Karen Bass, when she announced the budget in April, said we're going to have to lay off 1,600 employees. The city council revised the budget and said we did everything we could. We're still going to have to lay off 600 employees. And then, magically, this week, Karen Bass holds a press conference announcing nobody's going to get laid off and we're no longer in a deficit.
Okay, here's what I think she's going to do. Instead of laying off 1,600 employees, she's going to lay off 1,600 fire hydrants.
For more on Karen Bass's fancy financial footwork, here's Fox 11 in Los Angeles.
Layoffs averted. That is the announcement. Susan Wright, I know you've been following this story from Mayor Karen Bass. With it, the city's billion-dollar deficit also gone. How'd they pull this off? That's a big question.
Well, if you would ask them, they will say that it was solidarity and also some
The unions told them no.
Yeah, you can't lay anyone off, Karen, so figure something else out.
solidarity and also some creative solutions. Take a look.
And with a sweep of a pen, the city of Los Angeles officially has a balanced budget. It was in April the mayor's state of the city reported a $1 billion budget deficit and the threat of more than 1,600 layoffs. Representatives from the city's labor unions were witness to this welcomed announcement.
Well, I am here today to tell you that this has been completely everted.
Everted?
Everted.
Okay, most people say averted, but Karen Bass is a very strange speaker. Have you ever noticed that she's a D dropper?
A D dropper?
She doesn't say the World Cup. She says the World Cup.
Ah, wasn't Paul Rubens a D dropper?
Different kind of dropping of the D.
To tell you that this has been completely everted.
That means the protection of a wide range of jobs and services.
Well, technically what they did was they transferred a bunch of people who were going to be laid off into other jobs that were available.
Oh, great. So you're trained to be a meter maid, and now you're fighting fires?
There was room in the budget at the airport and at the port, and that doesn't count towards the city's general fund.
From sanitation crews to street services, from clerks to crossing guards, from engineers to emergency responders.
Oh, yeah. Every speaker at this thing was the head of some union that has way more pull than Karen Bass.
Okay. So I was told a story about the radio station a million years ago when there was a strike among the NABET employees. And NABET, if you're unfamiliar with how broadcasting works, is a union that represents call screeners. At the time, I believe they represented the producers and the board ops. And what the radio station had to do to remain operational was they had to reassign people from other departments to perform those duties so the product would continue to come out. So we had the general manager of the radio station operating the board. We had salespeople screening the calls. We had people from any number of other departments doing jobs that they weren't trained to do. And that was such crash and burn, they told stories about that decades later.
That's pretty much what the city of LA is doing.
Our city workers are the backbone of Los Angeles. Protecting the jobs means protecting the services the residents depend on.
Wait, what services? The sidewalks are a mess and all the street lights are out.
Yeah, who could use the sidewalks? If the sidewalk hasn't buckled yet, guess what? You still can't use it because there's a homeless encampment there.
And good luck getting the city of LA, much like the city of Oakland, to pick up illegally dumped trash. Do we need to go check out and see what's going on with that corner in downtown LA where the pallets of fruit get dumped every day?
I wonder what the budget has to say about picking up the trash. Well, we'll just go ahead and cross that off the list. The birds will eat it.
Protecting the jobs means protecting the services the residents depend on.
The city administration officer explained how some employees would need to change jobs.
We agreed that we would work together to expedite.
What were you before, a crossing guard? Great, you're going to be an air traffic controller.
Well, if he's a crossing guard, what they could do is they could shift that job over to the county and make him the director of public health, because he probably has more experience with public health than the current health director.
Yeah. You do social media for the city? Great. Now you're going to operate the cranes at the port.
What could go wrong?
Working with the personnel department, transferring the employees that were subject to layoff to jobs that came available over the course of the year.
The city's budget also boosts public safety with more paramedics, funding for officers, and shorter 911 wait times.
Wait a second. Isn't this the same budget that cut some of the academies and we're losing so many officers to attrition that now we're at like 8,500?
Yeah, but when your party controls all 15 seats on the council and the mayor's seat, you can say whatever you want.
Homeless services, libraries, recreation centers.
Wait, isn't the homeless services the reason we're in this to begin with Karen Bass's $880 million Inside Safe program that houses like 3,000 people?
At what point do you reevaluate those programs where you're spending more money on the homeless than you ever have, and the number of people living on the streets is going up and not down?
Well, you just fudge the numbers.
Homeless services, libraries, recreation centers, and animal shelters will stay fully funded. Key projects from the Sepulveda Basin to Palisades Recovery remain on track.
The Sepulveda Basin is set on fire every week. There's been 250 fires this year. What project are they working on?
That's a very good question.
Key projects from the Sepulveda Basin to Palisades Recovery remain on track. But the balanced budget applies to this fiscal year only. There is concern tariffs could affect city revenue next year. So the mayor is not resting on her laurels.
How do you like that? They have mismanaged this city from top to bottom. They know the budget is going to be upside down next year, and they're already laying the groundwork to blame it on Trump.
Well, of course.
We are now preparing for next year. We know that economic times continue to be uncertain, but as of right now,
she's banging that podium.
Well, she wants you to pay attention to her.
But as of right now, we have a balanced budget with no layoffs.
Sure about that?
Okay, again, higher tariffs affect the way residents spend their money. That affects the city revenue. And
also things like, I don't know, jacking up the wage for hotel and airport workers where no one can afford a hotel room in this city. That also will affect the revenues.
But they won't bring that up.
And here are some of the things that the unions agreed upon to make all of this work. The Police Protective League, they agreed to take any overtime as paid time off.
Okay, so this is the most interesting part of this. The deal that was made to save those civilian employees at LAPD was the LAPD union agreed that when overtime is deployed and officers are almost on mandatory overtime because there's such a staffing shortage, they're going to get paid time off instead of being paid overtime. John, do you know why that's significant?
Well, because that way the city doesn't have to fork up the money right now. They're going to call in sick or go on vacation at some point in the future, and the city figures we'll worry about it then.
They're not even going to do that because you know what happens when you are a city employee with a pension and you have tons and tons and tons of vacation days, you get to cash those out when you retire, and those count towards your final year salary, which will massively increase your pension.
The unions love this.
If you want to know why the police union agreed to give up overtime pay in exchange for vacation days, is because down the line, it means massive pension spikes for retiring officers.
But from the point of view of the city, that's a problem in the future that some other mayor is going to have to deal with long after Karen Bass is gone.
The Police Protective League, they agreed to take any overtime as paid time off. Then another union was willing to take up to 5 unpaid holidays. So they'll take a day off, they don't get paid.
We also call that a furlough, but sure. We don't want to use any words that make it look like the city's broke.
No, of course not.
It was a big concern for a while.
It was like during COVID, Johnny, when we had to take 3 weeks of quote unquote vacation and then file for unemployment for a week.
That's when we went on all the road trips.
Including the one where you got COVID.
That's true.
It was a big concern for a while when this information came out that these jobs wouldn't be funded.
When you hear a $1 billion budget deficit, that just seems so daunting. And there was a point where the mayor says, people said we couldn't do it. We got it done.
Yeah, they still haven't really explained how.
No, they haven't. And if you look at what kind of services you're getting from the city of Los Angeles, it's pathetic. With what we pay to live here, we should have excellent roads, excellent sidewalks, a fully funded fire department, a fully funded police department, the expectation that when you call 911, someone's going to answer in a short period of time. The expectation that if a homeless encampment goes up, it's going to be taken down in a short period of time. But none of that happens. Yet, the amount of money that they take in taxes, that always goes up.
Well, and you look at the underlying issues that led to the $1 billion budget deficit. Karen Bass overspending on homelessness, but you also had massive liability payouts. Some were the police, but a lot were also sidewalks, and they're still not fixing the sidewalks. So those liability payouts are still going to be going up and up and up and up and up. They also negotiated a 3% raise for every single department in the city because it was only fair since they were going to give the police a raise, even though they knew they couldn't afford that. There were so many issues that led to the $1 billion deficit that they actually have not addressed.
Here's what I would like to know. If you are disabled, if you're in a wheelchair or on a walker, or you have trouble getting around, you're blind, whatever, how do you use those sidewalks?
You don't.
Really? Yeah, I mean, when you have the homeless encampments all over the place, even if you're able-bodied, you can't use it. But let's just assume that you live in a neighborhood that doesn't have the homeless encampments. They're all buckled.
Well, maybe they got to get wheelchairs that have four-wheel drive.
I guess. Does Ford make a Bronco wheelchair?
All right.
People do a lot when they want to protect their jobs, honestly.
They'll work together on something like that. Okay.
So pretty much the end of the day, what happened here was the union said, no, Karen Bass, you're not firing anybody.
And she works for them. They're the boss. Let's go to Doug in Oakland. Doug, hello.
Yeah, Dog.
Dog in Oakland.
Okay. Dog. Hello, Doug.
Oh, I was just going to comment about the catalytic converters. I live in Oakland. I drive a Fiat 500. They don't have those catalytic converters. They're too small.
So if you buy a really tiny car, they're not going to steal it from you.
Plus, I think the catalytic converter is squished in between the engine and the firewall.
All right.
So it's hard to get.
Maybe if you're in Oakland, what you should do to avoid having your catalytic converter stolen is to just drive around town in a golf cart.
Something like that. But anyway, and also the Metrolink train yesterday was stopped for 3 hours because somebody was suicided. So that helped the commuters out a lot. Stuck on the train, sitting there. Waiting.
All right. Thank you for the call, sir. I've never heard it described that way before, Randy. Someone suicided.
I guess it's a verb.
Maybe. What happened to Bob? He was looking pretty depressed the last time I saw him. Well, he went over to the train and suicided.
Maybe when they have to fire the after-action report, that's what they write down. We had to shut down the train for 8 hours because of a suicided.
It's just a box that they check. Let's see. Was the copper wire stolen? No. Was there a labor strike? No. Oh, a suicided. Yeah, right there. Check that one. Red ink. If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, you're monitoring the mailbag.
Chuck writes in at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. Guys, now we can see all the lengths that Karen Bass is going to purchase votes. You can't lay anybody off if you're trying to get endorsements from the union for your reelection.
That is very true.
Oh, here's another one from Tyler. Tyler in NorCal writes in and says, suicided is a popular term surrounding Hillary Clinton, a.k.a. don't mention her corruption or you might get suicided.
And if you want to go back in time and listen to an old episode where Hillary Clinton was in the news, Randy, that's easy to do.
I don't know if we have anything like that. I don't think it goes back that far.
Well, when did Vince Foster die?
It definitely doesn't go back that far. There wasn't something known as podcasting back then. What, do you want me to go dig up some old reel-to-reels of Larry Elder from 1993? If you want to listen to it, it's funny. Someone emailed me the other day like, hey, do you have any old episodes of John and Jillian from 2017? I don't. I really don't. If you want to hear this show, and I think we have episodes going back to January of 2020, you can listen to those. Search for The John Phillips Show wherever you get your podcasts.
800-222-5222 is the telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. And Randy, we're going to Universal City tomorrow.
We are. We're going back to help out the Union Rescue Mission as they're going over the edge for a cause. You know what I just found out? Motec's going over the edge tomorrow. So we'll talk to him about that. But we're going to be at the Universal Hilton tomorrow doing a live broadcast from noon to 3. The Over the Edge event from the Union Rescue Mission is tomorrow and Saturday at the Universal Hilton. You can sign up and rappel down a 25-story building. I did it last year. It is quite an experience. This is all to raise funds to support the Union Rescue Mission's work with the homeless. Every dollar raised will be matched up to $500,000. Donate to double your impact. Share with your friends. If you want to be a part of this event, go to the website, urm.org/OTE.
Now, last year you did it. You put the harness on and you descended down the side of the building.
Yeah, so it's your turn, right?
No, I can't do it. I'd really like to. I can't. I was an Owen Hart fan.
Maybe we'll get you next year.
All right. Okay, so we know that AI is taking over. And at some point, maybe the robots will kill us all.
And probably do this show.
What's that?
And probably do this show.
It's going to be a while before a robot can make fun of fake doctors.
Don't test this audience. They'll put a bunch of Barbara Ferrer clips into ChatGPT, and they'll come out with a segment as clever as you and I.
Yeah.
Well, now that AI is taking over, people are trying to have fun with it. The members of this audience will take certain themes related to the show and turn it into songs, and sometimes we'll play those songs on the air. If you're a corporation, what you do with AI is you use it to find ways to cut costs. You see this when you call a call center, and you used to get some guy in Oregon, and then you got some guy in the Philippines, and now you get a robot somewhere in a server. If you check out of the grocery store, you used to have single moms checking you out and telling you all the bad things their kids did. And then when AI came around, they replaced the single moms with the robots. And you just scan everything yourself. The robot talks to you. You put your credit card in the credit card machine. It spits out a receipt. If you're at CVS, it takes 45 minutes because it goes through 3 things of ink. And then you leave. And you don't actually have to talk to a human being. And if you go to the grocery stores now, compared to, let's say, 5 years ago, the number of self-checkout centers is infinitely larger than what used to be there. There used to just have 1 or 2, and now sometimes you go to the grocery store, there's more opportunities for self-checkout than there are tellers or there are people working at the grocery stores.
And they might have one employee that's watching 6 different self-checkout counters. Maybe they're watching 10. And some people have argued that the lack of employees right there at the front of the store has led to an increase in retail theft.
Or how about Prop 47? I think that has more to do with it.
I think there's that too. But in Long Beach, they have now come out with an ordinance that says no more of this. If you're going to have self-checkout, you got to have one employee watching every 3 self-checkout counters. And that has caused some grocery stores to say, okay, we're just not going to have it then.
Which means the prices on groceries are going to go up.
For more, here's a report from KCAL.
The convenience of the self-checkout line is no longer...
Define convenient. It's convenient if you have like one thing.
For the most part, I hate those self-checkouts. I never use them because I could never figure out how to use it correctly. And then the light goes off and an agent needs to come over to help me.
If you're somebody that brings your own grocery bags and you put something on the scanner and then you think, oh, well, now I'm going to put that in my bag on the counter. Well, the stupid weight sensor doesn't understand that your bag is not something else that you are buying. So it constantly rings an alarm. Take your bag off. So you have to check everything, put it on the counter, pay for it, then bag everything. If you've got 3 things, it's no big deal. But if you have a full cart of groceries, it is a colossal pain in the ass.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Self-checkout line is no longer an option in many Long Beach grocery stores. KCAL News reporter Lauren Posen has a new law that's closing the self-checkout and causing longer lines in stores.
Well, we're outside one of the 4 stores in Long Beach.
You're going to be behind the people paying with WIC, and you know that takes a long time. People that have the old school actual food stamps.
Well, we're outside one of the 4 stores in Long Beach. This one on Spring Street that's pulled the plug on its self-checkout lanes. The city says this new ordinance comes down to one thing: stopping theft. And this is one way they plan on doing it. If shoppers were planning to use the self-checkout at this Vons on Spring Street, think again. There's now this sign letting them know it's closed.
It was pretty busy. There was a lot of people in there. The lines were pretty long.
The city of Long Beach passed a new law targeting rising theft, impacting at least 19 grocery and drug stores in the area.
Well, you can say that it's going after theft, but this is a union thing, right?
Yes, this is the unions trying to preserve jobs. We know that AI is going to eliminate any job that's repetitive. The unions are aware of this. So the unions are going to fight this tooth and nail from beginning to end.
The city of Long Beach passed a new law targeting rising theft, impacting at least 19 grocery and drug stores in the area. Called the Safe Stores Are Staffed Stores Ordinance, it sets new rules for self-checkout machines. Stores must have 1 employee for every 3 self-checkout lanes. Self-checkout lanes can only handle transactions of 15 items or fewer. They also can't be used to buy items that require ID verification or those with special theft prevention measures.
Wait, that means that you're not going, well, certain stores, that includes socks.
Okay, here's the thing about what the unions are doing. In the short term, they're going to experience some victories because they control these councils, they control these state legislatures, they control the county boards of supervisors, school boards. You get the idea. But you cannot fight technology in the long term. You just can't. Remember when cell phones first started and they became a thing, and there were a number of holdouts out there who refused to buy cell phones and they used the rotary phones? I think Steve Hilton was one of those guys. Okay, you could get away with it for a period of time, but your smartphone is how you check in at the airport now. Your smartphone is how you get your email now. Your smartphone is how you order your pizza now. Everything is done through your smartphone.
If you have a Tesla, your smartphone is your car key.
There you go. So if you're a holdout and you're refusing to upgrade your rotary phone at home that's nailed down to the wall, with a smartphone, fine, the times will pass you by like you're standing still. And you're not going to be able to do anything that you're supposed to be doing.
They also can't be used to buy items that require ID verification or those with special theft prevention measures.
And by the way, this is something I didn't know until, once again, there's a bill going through the legislature that wants to do something similar to this statewide. John, were you aware that California is the only state in the union where you cannot buy booze at the self-checkout?
Well, how are teenagers supposed to get it?
This was not about just, who's working where. It was, how do we make sure that no employee ever feels like they are helpless and without the ability to protect themselves in a work environment from the public?
I don't know what any of that means.
Yeah, me either.
Typically what happens, because we've all experienced it, somebody runs out of the grocery store like it's supermarket sweep with a shopping cart full of Tide, and everyone hears the alarm go off and just continues to go about their day.
Yeah, so if you have a single mom monitoring every 3 machines, what's that single mom going to do when a linebacker is robbing the store?
With workers supervising fewer machines, the union that represents them says they can now better help customers who struggle with self-checkout.
Which is everybody.
Me at the top of the list.
Well, and especially if you like fresh produce, it is such a colossal pain in the butt to have to type in the code because the stickers don't scan.
Yeah, that just seems like a trap.
And also more effectively deter theft by keeping a closer watch.
It's no secret that the grocery industry brought in self-checkout to trim staff, to try to make fewer workers do more.
Stores are implementing the policy in different ways.
It's funny, though, because there's one chain that has never done self-checkout that I don't think will ever do self-checkout, and the lines move faster there than anywhere, and that's my friend Trader Joe's.
You know what self-checkout is great for?
What's that?
If you're buying something embarrassing. If it's a Friday night and you're by yourself and you're buying a box of wine and a Duraflame log, you don't have a checker who's standing there looking at you and thinking, single and staying that way.
Stores are implementing the policy in different...
If you've got to buy the milk of magnesia, it is nice to not have to have that conversation.
Oh, yeah. So what do we have here? Oh, we have some problems, do we?
Stores are implementing the policy in different ways. A spokesperson for Vons told us in a statement, the ordinance requires that locked or secured items cannot be purchased through self-checkout. As a result,
my Ralph's is doing the weirdest thing right now. They have all of the bathroom items, whether it's your toothpaste, your shampoos, some of the small pharmaceutical things that they have. They're all in one specific section in the store. And if you want anything from those 3 aisles, you have to pay for them right there with a cashier that's just standing right there, because otherwise they think you're going to steal them.
You know who is responsible for self-checkout more than anyone?
Who's that?
People who are overly chatty with the checker. How chatty are you with the checker when you're checking out?
I'm pretty quiet, But at Trader Joe's, I will, when they ask me what I'm going to make, tell them what I'm going to make. But I know how to do it quickly, and I'm bagging my own groceries, so that's a quick exchange.
I keep the chit-chat down to a minimum because I've got places to be. And whenever a checker gets too friendly, I have to shut it down. Did I ever tell you how I did that once at Target?
How'd you do that?
Okay, there's a very kind elderly woman who wants to ask you about everything going on in the world. And if you're the only one in line, it'll take 45 minutes to get out of there. And I did it a couple of times. I was on my way to the movies, and I was short on time. I couldn't do it this particular time. And I was buying a thermometer, one that you put under your tongue. It'll tell you your temperature, a travel thermometer. And she started in on trying to get my take on everything going on in the world yet again. And I said, I don't mean to cut you off, but could you do me a favor? And she said, yeah, I'll do you a favor. I said, could you get me a price check on that rectal thermometer? And then she looks at it, and then she looks at it again, and then she looks at it a third time, and then she leans into me as to not embarrass me in front of other people. And she goes, honey, I don't think that's a rectal thermometer. And guess what? No chit chat ever since.
The ordinance requires that locked or secured items cannot be purchased through self-checkout. As a result, our self-checkout lanes are currently unavailable. A USC business professor who studies how technology and innovation shape the way we work says automation, like self-checkouts, is still a work in progress.
The workers in the store work as complements and provide in the long run more value for consumers.
In the meantime, shoppers say not having the option at some stores is feeling more like a hassle.
Definitely adds a lot of time since it took so long to wait in line to get my groceries.
Stores that don't comply could face fines starting at $100 per day per worker, and those fines could increase to up to $1,000 if the violations continue. Reporting in Long Beach, Lauren Posen, KCAL News.
So there you go. The new ordinance in Long Beach requiring one employee for every 3 self-checkout lanes, restricting the items you can buy at self-checkout, and making it 15 items or less, which has caused one Vons in Long Beach to say, screw it, no self-checkout for you.
Let's go to Jim in Long Beach. Jim, hello.
Hello, how are you?
Good.
This is really, really unbelievable. It's our out-of-control Long Beach City Council. We've got 9 council members, 7 of them very liberal, a mayor who's even more liberal. They're in the hands of the back pocket of the unions. The unions tell them jump, they say how high. And, mandating staffing at grocery stores. And by the way, they didn't mention our local Targets have also shut down their self-check. It's leading to really, really long lines. On one hand, I'm very happy for the grocery stores for standing up to the union, but it's creating a mess. And to say they didn't see this coming is just a bunch of crap. They saw it coming. They knew it was happening. It's all about the unions wanting more members, wanting more staffing. You may recall a few years ago during COVID, they mandated hero pay. They wanted all the grocery stores, they mandated pay an extra $4 an hour for 4 months. And we had 2 grocery stores close. And our city council was actually picketing those grocery stores saying, you don't care about your customers. We don't need the grocery stores. None of these people have ever run a business. They have no business mandating staffing levels. And by the way, Long Beach is the first city in the nation to do this. Not surprising. And I think you mentioned California's looking at it. God help us. This is ridiculous.
Well, here's what's going to happen. If Long Beach makes it a pain in the ass to grocery shop there, people are just going to go to Seal Beach, or they're going to go to Lakewood, or they're going to go to nearby communities where you can get in and out of the grocery store in a reasonable amount of time. Thank you for the call, sir. Let's go to Freddie in Los Angeles. Freddie, hello.
Oh, hey, John. I was in Bristol Farms yesterday, and I was standing at the cheese department, and there was nobody there. And I'm standing there for about 10 minutes, And I finally said to somebody who was at another counter, excuse me, please, do you know if there's somebody working in the cheese department? And she goes, I don't know, and just walked away. Didn't care. So I was thinking about today the service of wherever we go, whether it's a supermarket, restaurants, etc., is non-existent.
I think it's one of those things where if they don't recognize you, you get poor service. If they recognize you and you're a regular in the store, I think they try to make you happy.
Well, I don't feel that way, but that's your opinion. I've been going there since it opened in 1998, and they turn over people all the time. So
how did you end up getting your smoked Gouda?
I didn't. It was actually, I wanted the Greek cheese, the salted Greek cheese, and I just wanted to find out some information about it. So I just got the mozzarella that was pre-packed and bounced.
All right. Thank you for the call, sir. You know, I just went to not Whole Foods. What's the other high-priced one? Gelson's. I just went to Gelson's, and I was a massive Karen because I wanted oysters, and I wanted them shucked because that's what my niece wanted for the seafood platter that we were making. And I went in there, and you have to order them way ahead of time, and you have to tell them exactly how you want it. And I just assumed that something was going to be wrong when I went to pick them up. And I got all of my oysters exactly as I wanted them without any lip. I was really surprised because I was pretty annoying.